derive. I think of these as very large paintings where you're fairly inside work. This particular one here, which is called Late Light, is especially meaningful to me. Kind of sums up the environment that I came from. It's New England, and this winter light, the late light, is extremely evocative for me. Really just a special time. And I've worked with light in almost everything that I do. Still life, landscape, as we see here. And I love the winter feel of it, or the transitional feel, which is just about what we're having right now, which is very late February, the edge of spring, little bits of melting. This is just possibly one of my most important pieces for me. I've shown a great deal in the Washington area, New England, North Maine, working often with Maine, with trees, water, ice. Again, I seem to gravitate to winter and winter light. So I also think of this as extremely colorful in a way. These bricky chestnut colors, punctuated by the snow and the whites, which is something that, again, I work with and wish to work. This is a waterfall. Rushing water is what I wanted. I want the feeling that you're practically being inundated by water, and the sense of both speed and nature, and also a peaceful thing, also at the same time. Again, the whites are so important to me, and whites in the painting are the left paper. It is not painting white paint, because this is a watercolor on paper, but it is left with little bits of punctuation to show what's happening, the activity of the water and the feeling. I wanted that to be there. We placed this piece centrally as you come into the Lombardi Cancer Center to get that first rush of water, which has a wonderful feeling. Most of the back parts are very abstracted. They're suggested, but they're not specific trees so much as a feeling of coming out of the dark, the rush, and the water. More watercolor. This is called backlit grasses. I've done a number of paintings of grasses reflected in the water, the little shudder of their action as you see it reflected in the water. This one is especially serene, I think. It's very frontal. The grasses there's an Asian feeling to this. There's a subtle light change which goes from light into the coolness of the water, and it is called backlit grasses. The light, the morning light, is coming across a lake at this piece. They're especially meaningful to me, these grasses, for other reasons, because I grow in this little lake where these grasses are. It's a composite. It is derived from trees that I know along the coast of Massachusetts and Maine, but I have manipulated them and I've changed their orientation. I've invented and gone with the fog, which I love the fog and mist rising up, almost as like mountains as you see them through the trees. But most of this painting is really from my head, and in a way I think that's one of the most important things in painting, to take your inspiration, your subject matter, and then make it your own in whatever way you can. This one, for me, was a wonderful invention, if you will, of these, again, familiar trees. And when you're more familiar with whatever your subject matter is, then of course you continue to make it your own and work it into different series, really, of a type of tree or a type of mist and fog, which is what I'm doing a lot with mist and fog. I'm very attracted to that indirect view where you see things through things, or you see the reflections of things, and it's not always looking at it itself. This is an apple bough of the paintings that are on the wall here at Lombardi. It's the only one that really is derived from spring. The others are pretty well seated in transitional weather to winter to maybe almost spring. But this is a blooming painting. It's a little different for me. I have invented most of this. I've been inspired by an apple bough and the feeling of it emerging out of the sky, out of the surround. And some of the blossoms and some of the branch are very delineated and very specific, but much of it is that developing, I guess, moving out into sort of a miasma of color, and something that I love to do with watercolor, where you find the shape with hard and soft edges, and that's a very typical watercolor technique. In fact, there's something a little bit old-fashioned about this painting, I feel. I don't know if it's also the color, but I want these to be evocative of sky, light, coming of spring, and the subtle colors again, which is pretty difficult for me, of a low color level. Though I would say within all of this, there's lots of color. There's a really rich pink, of yellow aura, but it's subtle.